All right, welcome to the level 2 shot. Time to finally add some things, improve our shot at least a bit. Okay, so this time there are some changes. One of this is that we are going to start using our DSLR camera. When I say DSLR, I also mean basically anything more than a phone. Okay, so when I say DSLR right now, I mean the mirrorless cameras. Of course, these days they will probably be the best. Okay, but the reason I say is because I know all the students that I have, people still use a DSLR probably the most. Okay, mirrorless is still a new phenomenon. So when I say this, I mean all those cameras, even those semi or DSLR or semi mirrorless type of cameras, which are maybe they don't allow you to change the lenses, but you get the point. Better than a phone. That's what I mean. Okay, so an improved camera with. Right now, we'll only be using the kit lens, okay? So not too much of a change here. Mainly the camera has been changed. We will, however, be adding a reflector to fill in the shadows. Remember, a lot of areas were dark, especially on the opposite side of our level 1 shot. So we're just going to be adding some light using just a natural reflector, okay? So you're going to be seeing that. So I am using a camera, but I will be using, as far as the settings are concerned, on the automatic mode for level 2. Later on, we will be using manual mode in level 3. So it's just, again, going to be just basically a click type of a shot. You really don't think too much, okay? Just press the button, shutter button, and take the shot. We're not really going to be changing the surface, so we're completely ignoring this. Props are again going to remain minimal, similar to level 1 shot. Again, we are not using any other type of light except for that window light that we saw in level 1. And editing also for this level, I just thought, let's completely ignore it. We'll do something about that in level 3. So again, going to be pretty basic. Let's get into this shot and then let's see how it looks. All right, welcome to the level 2 shot. Now here you can see that we've made some changes. We've added a DSLR, which you can see on the left here. So we're going to be using that, and very importantly, it's mounted on the tripod. You'll understand the importance of that when we actually go to the screen of the DSLR and we are taking this shot. But probably not in this shot because we will just be using the automatic mode of the camera. But that tripod is going to be very important when I show you how to use the manual mode of the camera, which is going to be in the next video. Also on the right here, you can see that we have, as discussed, added the reflector. Let me just quickly show you how this looks from the front. All right, so now this is the kind of shot we're looking at through our DSLR, which right now is on the automatic mode. And if you know anything, even the basics about the exposure triangle, that is your aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, right now you would have straight away guessed and you would have asked me, Kush, why are you shooting at such a high ISO? Now that is one of the issues with using natural light, and that's one of the reasons, apart from the creative abilities, which I'll be showing you later, of artificial light. Natural light also is bad because you often don't get enough light. Yes, I have a big window in front of me, okay, but it's still not generating sufficient amount of light. And if I start switching on too many lights in my room, then it can also mess up with the look of my shot. So that's usually sometimes the problem with natural light. So you can straight away see, even though I'm using the automatic mode, the camera is literally just, on the automatic mode, the ISO is fairly accurate. So therefore, when we ultimately go on to the manual mode, I'll actually show you why using the tripod is so important, because even in these situations, you'll actually be able to save the light, increase the exposure by decreasing the shutter speed. Okay, that's the advantage of using the tripod, as you're going to find out in the next video, which will actually allow me to shoot this at the base ISO, which is 100, okay? But right now, this is on the automatic mode, so we are not really worried about that. Another advantage of the tripod, like you can see here, is that it helps me really compose the shot very well, because there's no shakage of the hand. I don't have to take the shot quickly. So it really allows me to take my time and then absolutely get the composition right. So I've kind of gone for a rule of the thirds composition, with the mug slightly on the right, with the jute bag and the ingredients, which are the beans in this case, on the left. And since we're on the automatic mode, all I've got to do here is I just have to make sure I don't switch on the flash, okay? But just make sure I focus on the cup, okay, and just take the shot. That's it. We're not really going to be doing too much because this is the level 2 shot. Right now, one of the things that I purposely had just removed was the reflector, because I actually want you to see how much of a difference that makes. So just notice this area of the shot, okay, this part of the mug and also of the beans, we have a lot of shadows here, okay. So what I'm just gonna now get the reflector in, okay. Sometimes you just have to move around, and you can see this is without the reflector. And if I just point the reflector, just keep an eye on that area. It just really brightens up without into shadows and very dark. And here you can see it starts to look really, really nice. And the thing about the reflector is it is very, very important, as you can see here. But you must be wondering, but Kush, shouldn't it have reflected even more light? Well, the thing is, the initial light that we're getting from this window is still not strong enough. When you use a reflector with an artificial light, like you're going to see later on, it makes even a bigger difference. But here also, the difference is clearly visible. No reflector and reflector. And you'll be able to see this difference, especially in the beans and the mugs shadows when we look at this shot. Okay, so let's take this shot again, once more. Okay, because last time we hadn't added the reflector. Let's take this once more. And then let's see this in our laptop. All right, so this is the level 2 shot. And again, to be frank, this is a very, very poor looking shot, right? The only thing I can say here is, yes, because we were on the tripod, the composition slightly looks better. So if I was to crop this, yes, definitely I can kind of get closer. But the problem here is, there are a lot of problems, right? As I mentioned, first of all, we're using very weak natural light. On top of that, we can't really do too much about things because we were using the automatic mode. Okay, so if you're using the automatic mode of the camera, that means we are not saving light from any setting. We could have, decreased or made the shutter speed much slower, but we could not do that. Because we were using a kit lens, we did not even have the opportunity to open up the aperture to save light. So both these criteria, shutter speed and aperture, were taken away from us because we didn't have a good lens, because we were simply shooting on the automatic mode. That meant what? You saw that the camera on the automatic mode was using an ISO of almost 2000 plus 2500. And that, if I zoom in right now, it is just bad, because this results in this bad looking noise. No client will ever accept such a shot, right? But that's why it's still a level 2 shot, right? Now, another thing that is very bad in this shot is that because I'm using a kit lens, and especially my kit lens is very old, you can see that very old lenses just lose out on the contrast. So there is no punch to this shot at all. The only good thing as compared to level 1 is that, yes, we have filled in these shadows. So the mug here does not look dark. Okay, you can start to see there's some light on the beans. So we're starting to get some, more of these highlights here on the beans. But again, the background is looking bad. There's too much noise. And let's just quickly at least compare this to the level 1 shot. All right, so this was one of the level 1 shots. This was the second level 1 shot, and finally level 2 was this. And you can actually argue, because my lens is so old on my DSLR, that you can actually see the difference in the contrast, right? Even the phone camera actually produced a much better contrast here. So if you probably were using a reflector to fill in the shadows here, this shot actually would have looked better, right? So it's not a big deal, because the thing is, right now, the reason I shifted to a DSLR is not for level 2 shot, but actually for the level 3 and the shots that are coming forth, because what we're going to do is going to start now producing a big difference from the next level onwards, because we are going to change this kit lens, and that single thing is actually going to get rid of a lot of problems in one go, including noise, including the blur in the background behind to add more depth, getting more light in the camera, and it's just overall going to increase the contrast and add more punch. We'll do that and a couple of other things in level 3, so I'll see you there. Bye for now.